Hey guys, I didn't see any movies that are coming out this weekend. I just really wasn't interested in anything that was coming out. The new Possession movie just didn't pique my interest, so I thought I would just stay home in the comfort of my own home and just sit down and watch a couple of Netflix movies that I've heard about and that are new enough to just talk about in general. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to talk about four different Netflix movies that I recently saw today and just talk about them. So, yeah, anyway, let's get started. Cam was directed by Daniel Goldhaber and stars Madeline Brewer and follows the story of Alice, or Lola, as she calls herself, who is basically a cam star. She works for a cam website where she strips in front of many, many men that, of course, give her money in these cam shows. And one day she finds out that somebody has hacked into her account and it's showing that she is on camera when Alice is actually not at all. And the mystery of this movie is her trying to figure out what exactly is going on. And there are many twists and turns throughout this, and we have a really interesting thriller. First off, I'll talk about the stuff I liked. I really liked Madeline Brewer in this film. I've never seen her before, but she's very good in the film. I really feel her pain, her stress, everything she goes through, and she's acting really well in this film. I like what she does here. She's very just stressed and you feel for her in that respect. She's really good. Also, I really like the cinematography of the film. The film uses a lot of neon lighting. It's very beautiful to look at. Also, I like the musical score that it uses, and honestly, the big point of this movie that is really what's going to draw you in is the mystery. And I liked the mystery quite a lot. I thought it was interesting, and I thought the idea of setting it with a girl that, does cam shows was very interesting. This isn't a subject I've ever seen before on a movie, so that was kind of new and unique, and just what she has to do to try to figure out what's going on, I really do like. I like the ending. The ending gets really tense, and there are a lot of other tense, creepy, disturbing scenes throughout that make you feel a little uncomfortable, and I really, really liked that. However, it's bogged down by a lot of problems as well. Um, the character of Alice just isn't likable, at least in the very beginning. I feel her plight throughout it, and throughout it, I do feel. I feel a little better towards her. Like, she is a lot more likable, and I want to see her get through this, but she makes some stupid decisions through this movie, and they're not just, like little nitpicks or anything. These are really some problems with it. Um, at the very beginning of the film, she does this act that is just kind of sick, and it's all to get views. Throughout this, she's just trying to get to the top of the ranks to be the number one person on this cam website, and she does anything she can to get to that, and some of it is just kind of sick and stupid, and this isn't how these cam websites work. um, and it's just a problem with that, as well as she makes some very stupid decisions throughout the film that feel nonsensical and don't really work. There's stuff in the film that she does that is just really stupid to the point where um, the script, you could have written it any other way to fix this problem, and it's just kind of clumsy in that way. However, I did really enjoy a lot of this, and I think a lot of it works. I just wish that these problems were fixed and that she was a little bit more likable in the beginning, because there's some really great scenes in this, and I can understand a little bit why this is getting some praise, but I can't see why people are just not talking about a lot of the flaws with this, because it's not flawless in any shape of the word, but it is an interesting premise that I think just didn't reach its full potential. But it's still a fun movie, and I really enjoyed it. Anyway, guys, I'm going to give Cam a 6 out of 10. Next, we have The Christmas Chronicles, directed by Clay Kaitis. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Yeah, Kaitis. And it stars Kurt Russell as Santa Claus, and is about these two kids, a brother and a sister, that the sister is wanting to catch Santa on camera, and this gets them involved with actually meeting Santa and causing a whole bunch of problems, leading Santa to basically get behind schedule, and it's up to them to fix everything to eventually get Christmas back on schedule so Santa can go around the world and give gifts to everybody. And this film is very cliched and very Hallmark Channel like. Yep, this is just a basic Christmas movie that you would see around this time on the Hallmark Channel or the Lifetime Channel or anything like that. It's very just run-of-the-mill, basic. You've seen this many times before. In fact, it borrows from other better movies such as The Santa Claus and stuff like that. But the one thing that is really excellent in the film is Kurt Russell. Kurt Russell is really charismatic and fun as Santa. He doesn't play the typical Santa. There's no ho ho ho, and I kind of like that. I also he has this moment in the film where he actually sings. He has a singing number, which was really cool. It was fun. It was cheesy, and this film is very cheesy. I couldn't take it seriously, but it wasn't awful or anything. I wasn't like saying like this is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. It's not. It's a very harmless film. And one thing I did find rather interesting that this film did a little differently was the elves. The elves are apparently furry little creatures that look like Gizmo from the Gremlins, and they're adorable. They're also assholes, and I thought it was interesting that they speak in a different language, and so Santa has to learn their language to be able to talk to them, so that was new and interesting, I guess. But yeah, this film is just a Hallmark movie that's on Netflix. It's nothing special except for the fact that Kurt Russell is Santa Claus. That's one reason to watch the film, but it's nothing you should really watch. It's okay. It's not terrible. It's just kind of boring as well. I just found myself not really getting that into it. Maybe I'm just not the audience for it, or maybe it just really is that boring. I think it's very similar to how I thought about the Benji reboot that was also on Netflix a few months back. I found that film completely harmless, cute, but I mean, kind of boring and just didn't need to happen. Like, this is just a basic film. There's nothing that interesting about it, but it's not terrible. So I'm going to give The Christmas Chronicles a 5 out of 10. Next on our list, we have The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, directed by the Coen brothers. And this is a film I've been excited to watch because I love the Coen brothers. Their films just are fantastic. I always love their comedy. Their use of black comedy is next to none. It's really good. And it's another Western. So I love their movie True Grit, so it was interesting seeing them go back to a Western style. And yeah, I really, really enjoyed this film. It stars basically an ensemble cast of Coen Brothers alumni. It's a big, giant cast, but there's no singular story in this movie. It's told through a bunch of other stories. It's an anthology of sorts, with each story being set in a different location with a different cast, and it's all told from this book. And I really liked that. I liked each story and how different they were. Some of them were funny, some of them were kind of sad, some of them were very melancholy and just very beautiful. The cinematography in this film is extremely gorgeous, especially during this one short where it takes place in this valley with this prospector mining for gold. It's really good. It's beautiful. It has a great use of music. There's some songs in here that I can sing along to. There's a musical number in the very first scene with Buster Scruggs. That's really a lot of fun. All of these are a lot of fun. Some are better than others. I'm talking about the shorts, of course, but I particularly love the first two and the last one. The last one is this really, really interesting short that deals with these people riding in this carriage to this place, and everything that deals with them. They're basically arguing back and forth, just talking about life, and it's really nice. This was just a very simple film that was a lot of fun. I had some really good laughs in it. I was really entertained, and it was just overall fun. Like, I love the Coen brothers, and this is just another good, fun Coen brothers film that doesn't take itself too seriously. And I kind of liked that about it. It was a nice change of pace from other movies I had been seeing this year. And it's also one of the most unique in that it's an anthology film. And yeah, I just really, really liked this film. If I had any complaints, I would say, I mean, a few of the stories I don't gravitate to as much, but others might. Also, I feel it's a little too long at points. It's 2 hours and 12 minutes or so, and I feel like you could have cut maybe one story and made it a solid 2 hours, and that would have been fine. But as is, it's a really fun movie that I really enjoyed. So I'm going to give The Ballad of Buster Scruggs an 8 out of 10. And finally, we have Apostle, directed by Gareth Evans and starring Dan Stevens, and follows this man, played by Dan Stevens, who is going to this island where this cult is living because he's searching for his sister who has gone missing. And through this, he learns about the cult and how violent it is, and how they live under just in an oppressive society, and he eventually gets into a lot of trouble, and this film was really insane. Apostle is a film that is not for everybody. It will disgust some people. It is revolting, I will say. It is violent. It is disturbing. But also, I think it's really good. Now, I don't shy away from films that show graphic violence, and this film definitely has that. And it's used very well. I really like this. It makes me feel afraid. I don't like some of the scenes that are in here, and that's not a bad thing. That will be a bad thing for some people. But the violence really helped with the story. It was showing just how hostile this environment is, and how Dan Stevens is out of his element here, that this world is savage and will eat you whole. And I really thought the violence worked in this respect. Others will not think so. They will think that this is just a violent film to be violent. And there are definitely some aspects that I can say, okay, maybe so, but there are other violent films. I mean, I've seen Cannibal Holocaust, so this is nothing compared to that. That is a disgusting, deplorable film, and this is tamed in comparison. Stuff I really liked about the film, though, besides just that dark shift in tone that it goes with, I liked Dan Stevens. He has a very laid back performance. He's kind of passive through most of it, but he's kind of supposed to be our eyes through it, and we see it through his eyes. And another person that's excellent in this film is Michael Shannon, who plays the leader of this cult. He is really good and has some excellent scenes of him preaching to the masses, and that's very well done. I also love the music in this and the sound design. There's a lot of string work going into this, as well as it sounds like a bunch of pans banging together. It really keeps you on edge. I hated the music in this film because it always made me feel tense and felt like my heart was not beating, and like it just really made me feel icky. That's what this film did, and I loved it. I also really like the shift that comes in the film about halfway through. This film, it looks like it's leading to something about, in the first half, and then something happens and it leads you down just an insanely different film. This film changes itself halfway through and reinvents itself, and it works beautifully, except for, I think, the ending. The ending is the one place where I think I have a little bit of problems with, but honestly, I loved this film. It does run a little long. I could see this film being cut down just a little bit for some pacing issues there are, but I think it works, honestly, a lot. I loved a lot about this film. I thought the violence worked. Gareth Evans, I've never seen the Raid movies, but this was a really impressive film. I liked some of the cinematography in this, and he uses a lot of Dutch angles and stuff in this film that really keeps you on edge throughout the entire film, and you're always wondering what's going to happen next and what horrible thing are we going to see. I say it's very similar to The Wicker Man. I think Gareth Evans really watched The Wicker Man before he wrote this script, because this film screams that, as well as maybe even the Jonestown Massacre in a way. Just the way this cult is. It's very interesting. I love the politics of the cult and what they stand for. I love the cinematography, the music especially makes the film, and I really like the acting. As I said, Dan Stevens really good, as well as Michael Sheen as this evil man, and yeah, I really liked this film, but it's not for everybody, so if you are squeamish, I recommend you sit this one out, but this is a really good film that I'm glad I got to see. So anyway, I'm going to give Apostle an 8 out of 10. Well, guys, that's all for my Netflix reviews. This was really good, just being able to sit down and watch a couple movies, one after the other. I've been doing this since about 1:30, so yeah, 4 movies, one after the other. Very tiring. So, yeah, I think I'm gonna stop here and probably go to bed because I'm really tired. This was a lot of fun though, and even though there was some disappointment with movies like Cam and well, I mean, I didn't expect anything amazing from the Christmas Chronicles. I still saw 2 really good films that I can add to some of my favorites of the year. So, yeah, guys, that's all I've got to say about that. So, as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next review.